Good evening, Nick Inman here from VolumeProfileTrader.com on Thursday, December 29th. And before I get into tonight's video, I just want to say that this coming Monday we're having a webinar on goal setting. So if you're looking to have a more structured view or I guess business plan of your trading, then this is probably a webinar that you want to take advantage of. It's free for those who register, and the link will be under the video. So go ahead and check that out and register and take advantage of the webinar. So as for the market, we got a nice day today in the market. We saw the market clear 1250, and after that it was pretty much a nice move up to 1255 and closing up towards the highs around 1257. So that's positive. The weekly point of control was down at this 1246 level. The daily point of control from yesterday, 1245 or so, and this morning it was 1240, 1248, 1249. It was somewhere around there, and the market opened up and continued higher. We had a nice balance range from well, really it was higher lows and basically a flat top, and we saw from there a nice little squeeze into the close, which was, a decent move. Another quiet day of trading, though nothing like it was on Tuesday. So volume has been better the last 2 days relative to Tuesday, but still late nonetheless. So we are above 1254, which is the week's point of control. We are at the week's value area high, 1258, looking to see if this thing can press towards 1260 to 1264, which was the level, the volume area that we experienced from Tuesday and Wednesday. So if I zoom out, you can see that we really held last Thursday's point of control basically to a T, and from there have bounced. So our range is this 1240. Well, let's see, 1245 level up to, we're looking for 1264 or so. But if we don't, get, that's fine. Maybe 1260, with an emphasis on this 1254 level, just because it's the point of control of the range. If we stay above there, it should be fairly positive for the market, and if we drop below, then maybe there's more downside. So just keep an eye on it, and so long as this week's point of control, so long as price stays above it, it should be pretty positive for tomorrow. So one thing I want to look at is the monthly composite, the S&P. So the monthly composite shifted. It was at 1255 Wednesday morning, and then we sliced through it and started trading down below those levels, and the point of control shifted down to 1247, 1249, and we basically moved back up, and now we're back in the point of control, which originally was, which is this 1257, 1255 level. So long as we hold above those levels, it really should be market positive. We really want to see it go and test this 1263 level. If we can't get up there, then we'll have a lower high, and that should be a negative, which really makes this 1255, 1257 level an interesting level to be short from. And I just think it's something to be aware of. As far as names that are working, take a look at Apple. Apple gave us a decent bounce today. Nothing spectacular. Basically bouncing off this 400 level, which is the point of control over the last 90 days. So that's a nice bounce. But where's your target? Unfortunately, it's only up here at 408. So there's only $3 more of potential target, not even a percent. So I think this is something that if you have profits from riding this thing up, you take advantage of this strength and take half off or however much, and not necessarily wait for lower prices, but rather wait for this to play out in this balance range between 400 and 408. It's going to resolve one way or the other, and if it resolves to the downside, you don't necessarily want to be a part of it. Okay, I covered Oracle. I believe I covered Oracle last night, saying that you could probably buy this around 25.50 with a stop below 25. And Oracle did pretty well today. It went up over 1%. We got a point of control shift for the month of December. We really want to see this thing make new highs relative 26.20. We want to see it get above those levels and push towards 27.28. So I think Oracle's a cheap name that you can be long with a stop perhaps below yesterday's intraday's lows. Okay, Halliburton, this name, it continues just to kind of hold in there, holding this 33 level. Closed pretty well today. It didn't make new highs intraday relative to basically where it opened, but so long as it stays above 33, if it starts trading above 34, this is probably a name that you can take up for a ride towards 37s or so, maybe up towards 38, which isn't a bad run. So just keep it on your radar, and if you're long, then keep a stop under yesterday's intraday low. And as far as the banks, Bank of America, I would continue to stay away from. Wells Fargo, I feel like you missed this move unless if you were long somewhere in the December pullback. So I think this one, it's too extended for me to be buying. JP Morgan, I feel like this is a name that's really poised. If it can break 34, you can see that it almost looks just like a coiled spring ready to go. So really keep that on your radar, and that could be a bank that you want to be a part of. Likewise with Morgan Stanley, this could trading at 15, it could easily trade up to the mid 16s without a problem, and it could probably do it in a day or two. So just watch those. The banks actually, they definitely outperformed to the upside today, and continue to do well. And silver, remember when we first talked about this? This was a breakdown. December's point of control is up towards this level. Once it broke down, it was a great short. We were talking about whichever way this goes, it's going to be a nice move. Well, sure enough, it was over a $6 move to the downside. Today, I think silver's ran its course in terms of downside momentum for now. SLV got as low as 25.65 today, and it closed above 27. So it was a nice bounce for silver, and I think it's a name that you want to not be short anymore. So just watch it and don't allow it to come in your face. Gold, this is 145. That's an important level, and the closer we get, the more interested I am in buying more GLD. But you gotta wait for it, and wait for it to run its course. So jumping back to banks, USB, US Bank Corp, if it loads. Okay, similar to what was it? Wells Fargo. It continues to work. I'd watch this 27.35 level or so. You can see the high volume relative, and we closed under that today. That may be a little bit of resistance. If so, you want to take your profits and look to reload at lower levels. Freeport, I covered my short on that. It was a very small profit on the short, so I went ahead and covered it just because the market did fairly well today, and I just wanted to avoid Freeport giving any kind of bounce and me losing out on those profits. So really, there isn't much more to talk about. I think you look at the dollar, which is the main thing, and the dollar closed pretty weak today. Just relative really to the point of control that I'm looking at, we had the point of control shift at this 80-20 level or so, and I guess you could call this, I'm just going to extend this trend line. And we had resistance. Once we broke that, markets fell yesterday, dollar rallied, we had a point of control shift. We want to see this thing come back down to this 80-20 level. What it will do is, let me get back to the S&P. It will push this market, I'm assuming, back up to 1264 and maybe out to new highs. So it's just something that you really want to be aware of, and make sure that you realize that it's a currency trade and the markets are just moving based off of that. As far as the euro, is this something you really want want to be long. Sure, you can be long it. Put a stop below the intraday low today. If you want to trade the ETF and you don't trade Forex, then look at FXC stop below 128. That's not even 1% risk. It's not even $1 risk. But realize, the FXC, the leverage you get in Forex versus obviously an ETF is much different. So if you want to play Euro for a balance, it's going up to 129, 130, 129.50, 130, whatever. I don't think it's anything you want to be a part of, even if it goes screaming higher. I think there are better ways to play it, and if the Euro goes higher, stocks are going to kill it. So just be aware of it. And one last one for those who are long, Terra-Nitrogen. It was, I talked about yesterday, only be long names that are working, and sure enough, down 3% today. That was a rough one. However, we got our breakout, and this is our test of the breakout. We got a nice buying tail at the end of the day. I think this is a name that you want to continue to be long, maybe even add to, and realize that it was trading up towards 170 yesterday, now down towards 163, 164. It wasn't, now we're basically halfway in the middle of where we bought and where where the highs were recently. So I think this is a name you still want to be a part of. And so I will not be around tomorrow, but I will have a weekend update. So, and I'll put out a note before the markets for those of you who like that. So anyways, have a good night, and I will have the weekend update out tomorrow. Tomorrow.